What's going on, guys? This is Brian from Advancement Hockey Advising, and today we have a very special episode here where we actually have Francis Wathier, ex-NHL player, on board here to talk to us. It's going to be an interview between myself and him for about 30 minutes or so, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this content. You'll see how Francis came from, really playing not that high of a level growing up, and then he just, through hard work, through a coach believing in him and all that kind of stuff, he made it all the way to the NHL. So listening to his story is awesome, and listening to what he's doing now is great as well. So you guys, I think, are really going to enjoy this. So hopefully you guys enjoy this interview. All right, so Francis, glad to have you on board here. How you doing today?
Very good yourself. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Very good myself as well. So I guess to get started, just maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself and your hockey career in general.
Yeah, so I'm just a regular person from a hockey player from Saint-Isidore, Ontario. I was raised blue-collar family. Played my minor hockey in Saint-Isidore. Never played double A or single or double letters ever, or triple letters even more. Never. So played all the way through Bantam. My first year midget, I went to try out Junior B, got cut. Went to try out Junior C, made the team. And at the end of the season, somebody scouted me and invited me to the Gatineau Olympic. Back then, it was the Hall Olympics training camp. I was a defenseman, made the team. That summer, took it very seriously. I was working out, skating, and that was it. No parties, no hanging around with friends. So I kind of made sure that if I had an idea or if I have a chance to make this team, that's really what I wanted to. And I did. So I took 30 pounds of muscle that summer. Long story short, I was eating 11 eggs in the morning. It was crazy. My trainer back then, Jean-Robert Léger, did an amazing job. And kudos to him for my starting debut to my career for sure. He made everything happen for me. So I had to eat 6,000 calories per day. And so I made the Gatineau Olympic, the Hall Olympic back then as a defenseman. 2 months into the season, they put me forward. And after that, it was a long journey for my hockey career. I was drafted in 2003 by the Dallas Stars. Then I signed my first pro contract with them in 2005, started my pro career in Iowa, their farm team system. I played for 10 years at the pro level. I had a few stints in the ECHL on the coast. I played most of my pro career game at the AHL level, just over 600 games. And I was very fortunate to get called up and play 10 NHL games in my career total, all with the Dallas Stars. So I finished my last year pro in Portland, Maine with the Arizona Coyotes farm team in 2015. And right after that, I was looking for opportunity in Europe. I had a wife, my wife and 3 kids were kind of wondering what's life after hockey and kind of what we were going to do, because I didn't have any contract 2015 October this November. And then we kind of decided to stay home, focus on my wife's career. She went back to school. I was running my hockey academy at the same time during the summer when I was playing, but I really dived in to make sure that this is what I wanted to do. I started coaching at the junior A and the Q level, kept playing the semi-pro level in Quebec. So it's something that I still do now, and we can talk that later. But I did that for the last 6 years, and now I'm the head coach of the U15 AAA at CIH Academy. My son is a defenseman. He's a Bantam minor, but we're playing in the major league. He's having a good season. He's the one that actually I was never home. I was always coaching the Gatineau Olympic in the Q for 3 years, and he's like, "Dad, I want you to coach me as a head coach. You spend time with the others and helping out." So it was kind of ring a bell. Say, hey, I got 3 kids in hockey. I got my oldest, he's a Bantam minor. Second is Adam minor. Then my little girl, she's a goalie for novice. So all 3, I'm involved with hockey. With them coaching. So this way I want to give back to my kids first. And once they're all grown up and I cannot coach them anymore, they'll do on their own. And my wife, like I was mentioning, she went back to school. She's now a realtor. She just recently opened her bureau, Casman. So we're very proud as a family of her. She devoted her time with our family for over 10 years, taking care of the household. Now she's able to run her own business, and we're we're very proud. So that's where we're at. And then on top of this, the opportunity to open my hockey academy in Quebec. So I'm at CIH in the morning, coaching my son. In the afternoon, I run a sport études program. So it's like a second study. So the kids go to school in the morning, and in the afternoon, they're on the ice with me 1 to 4, 3 times a week. And inside that sport études, we have 75 kids total. I manage 2 prep school team that play in the M15 D2 and M18 D2 categories. So we keep busy. Hockey's a passion, and we do it on a 24 hours, 7 days a week basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you're almost busier now than back when you were playing, right?
To be honest, if I could choose, I would definitely go back to my playing days. A lot less stress. Focus on yourself. Get your workout done. Go on the ice. Focus on yourself. Now, wife, kids, school, program, everything. So it's like you mentioned, more busy than ever, but still find a way to play some senior or semi-pro games.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. It's how we kind of ran into each other about a month ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like senior hockey. So it's funny how it all works. But one thing I want to take out of your story that I really liked is that, you know, you didn't play, you know, AA, AAA hockey. You weren't on the top teams right when you were young. I wasn't either. It was kind of a grind more when I was young. It just gives, like, you made it all the way to the NHL, and it gives a lot of players that are watching this hope. I get a ton of questions from parents, from players saying, hey, like, if I'm not on the top team in Bantam, what do I do? You know, do I still have hope to go play? And the answer is yes. Of course, it makes your life a little bit easier if you're on the top team when you're younger and all that stuff. But even if you're not, there is still hope to get there. So that's, you know, it's a big part of why I wanted to bring you on, because I really love your story that you had there. Another question I kind of want to ask you is, what are like the key habits and the key values that you stayed to in your career that enabled you to have that success and to get to the NHL level?
You know, to add on what you were just saying is, yes, I was never the on the top team. My parents didn't have much money. They gave everything that we had, that we needed. But at the same time, you know, I still remember my mom saying at 7, 8 years old, she asked me what I wanted to do in life. I said, a hockey player. So that was in my mind since I was a young age. And I believe at a young age, you need to have a dream, you need to have a passion, and you got to go for it. I was never the most skilled player on my team, not the fashion. You know, I was never, like I said, never the best player on my team. But if there was something that I was very good at, is I was very coachable. I was taking all the information from all of my coaches. My work ethic was very good. That's probably my biggest asset, my work ethic. I never took no for an answer, never quit in any games, practices. I love competing. Even then, right now, the most fun I have is when I do practice. I love scoring goals I don't do now, but as a coach, you know, when after practice, I love scoring goals on goalies and competing one-on-ones and all that kind of stuff. So that always stick with me. Every time there was a coach that was taking the time to explain to me a drill or something that I got to do better, never take that in a negative way. They're trying to help. Even if he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's still able to maybe grab a 5-10% of, say, you know what, that kind of makes sense. I'm going to bring this to my game. Because not all the coaches are right, but you take the information that is good for you, you take it, you listen, you take it in hand, and then you move it forward to your own game. And that's what I did from minor hockey all the way to junior. Like I said, my work ethic was always something that I made sure every training camp I was the best that I can be in shape for. I was never the strongest, but the best that I could manage. I was making sure that this was never something that you know what, I could have done more. Everything I did, you know, everything happened for a reason, but there's nothing more physically, preparation, mentally that I could have done more. My best advice to young hockey players is if you have a dream, you go for it. You always have a plan A. Your plan A is playing the AHL. Perfect. Keep going it. Make sure you have a solid plan B. Sound plan B, obviously, with the school, and that's something that you definitely reference yourself very well and continue doing so. I didn't take that route because I had a different opportunity. But my main goal was to accomplish this, and I knew, you know, I was going to have a good after career because I want to develop kids. I want to spend time with the young generation to give back.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, your work ethic, your mindset, I think that's really what carried you through. And the coachability, honestly, the way you could, even if the coach wasn't right, like you said, you'd still try and extract like 5 to 10% of what they were saying. And that just makes you better overall. You try and get every little piece of information. And then even if you're not the most talented or anything like that, you can still outwork and outcompete your competition if you learn every single day and you grow like that.
And to add to this, like bantam age is a weird age because you have guys that get their maturity, early and will fall back on this and kind of like will not do anything about it. And then you have the younger or the kid that is not mature yet on the physical part, but works and works and works and works. And by the time you doesn't get that maturity, it just is in advance. And now hockey is all about preparation. If you don't do anything during the summer and you think you're going to show up in August ready to go, absolutely not. I'm a big believer in multi-sport. Summertime, you should have a break, between spring and summer on no skates or whatever, play baseball, play soccer, football, whatever. But at one point, you need to be able to be in shape, especially at the bantam age, because it's like a funnel. Hockey's a funnel. And yes, you have the top player that's going to go through down, but you're going to have the players that really wants it. You can be a AAA, but really, you don't put in the work during the summer. You don't really want it. Well, the kid that played AA that really wants it, that puts in the time, will be rewarded at one point. Is it bantam? Is it midget? Is it junior? Who knows? If you put in the work and the right attitude, not only is going to transplant yourself in a success story for bantam, junior, midget, but it's going to have success in life. And it's like anything. Hockey's not forever. I was 30 years old. I was told that I was too old to play the game of hockey at a pro level with the salary I wanted to make. Right? I have 3 kids and a wife. I could just play for 20 grand in Europe, obviously. But whenever it hits you, you got to be able to fall back on something, because it's cool if you take the NCAA route, which is very good. Is it something that you plan, while you were in junior playing in OHL or the Q or in the Dub? So there's different paths. There's now a single path to where you want to be in life in hockey. Is just going to make sure that you have the right mindset, you prepare the right way. If it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, you try your best and then you move on. You will have I'm always trying every day to have no regret on what I accomplished during my life.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack for that, but basically the biggest thing I'm getting here is the preparation, the kind of mindset, the work ethic that you have to bring. And that's just what's going to make you successful, basically, over time. Might not get it right now, but over time, if you keep preparing, you keep working the right way, have the right habits, over time, you should get there. And also, too, the biggest thing also that I'm getting is that you have to make kind of like that plan B. Like for me, I think you should go 100%, 110% into your plan A, your goal. But of course, things like hockey, it doesn't last forever. And that's just the truth. You have to realistically, you have to have that plan B, like you said, whether it's school, some sort of venture that you want to create afterwards, anything like that. I think that's very, very important too.
As parents and young athletes need to remember, it's 2% of every junior player that will play one game in the NHL.
Yeah.
It's a tough goal. It's very tough to get there. Injuries can happen. I was sure we're going to talk about this. I was not lucky early in my career, lucky when you look at my career afterwards. But you look at a guy like Ben Bishop, who just retired from the NHL because he's got bad knees, and he's 35. He's not that old, right? But he's at a point that the body can take it. And sometimes that's just the nature. Yes, he made his money. And yes, if he's smart, he's going to be good for a while. But it's tough for a hockey player to move on from what you've been doing all your life. But when it comes down to injuries, there's nothing else you can do. Your body just shuts down and say, nope, you got to move on to something else.
Yeah, no, for sure. The moving on part is definitely tough. I definitely felt it when my college career was over. I still play senior hockey like we talked about, but nothing like, it's not super competitive like it used to be. And kind of a question that I kind of got off the top of my head here for is, the transition period for you, how was that? How did you manage it? How did you feel throughout that whole period? And
for me, it was extremely tough. If you ask my wife, she'll say extremely times 1,000. I'm still a guy that is searching that competitiveness. Even in my men's league or whatever, I still play. I play the exact same way. I'll still finish my checks in the senior. I'm still gonna do my.
I remember you hit me. You hit me.
Yeah.
pretty hard.
That was not on purpose on that first one. But yeah, I still play the same way. I only have one route, and I was a physical player. So, but for me, the transition kind of went. It was tough to say that out because I was looking at guys that were still playing. And I'm like, man, I'm still as good as him. I can still bring that same thing. But at one point, you gotta there's, like I said, I could have played until I'm 40 if you want in Europe. But sometime you got to make a decision, say, okay, the family's going to be hurt when traveling, switching schools, apartments, so it was just not me, right? It was my family, and I don't regret that decision at all. But yes, I still miss that competitiveness on a daily basis, and I get it through coaching, but it's not the same thing, because sometimes you just want to be able to get that scoring goals or getting that body check. And I was a tough player. I was playing a tough game, and mixing in a few fights. It was part of my game. I still liked doing it, obviously. But it was extremely tough. But what made it through is I was able to play semi-pro, so it was easier transition than just like stopping, boom, you don't compete anymore. And the fact that you're trying to realize, okay, what can I do to make to accomplish my day, and keeping myself in hockey is definitely something that I had to do, and I did, and I'm glad I did. But at the same time, I was able to experience another passion. So things that I was not able to do when I was playing hockey. So now I snowmobile a lot a lot. It's a big word, but like I started last summer, last winter, I'm looking forward for the next couple of weeks here to start. My wife and I, we like to renovate house and stuff like that, do some renovation. My wife's a realtor, so we're in that domain now. So we were able to experience different things, and that's what I'm kind of grateful, because yes, hockey is beautiful life, and I would go back in a heartbeat. But now we're able to experience different things and see other passion and other things that really drives us in life. And you have to be able to stick to something like this to be able to move on from the game of hockey, because if you don't move on, well, you're just going to stay at the same spot. So yes, it was hard, but now I can say that we're moving on, like on a better note than especially the year or two after it was done.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember for me, it was very difficult. A couple of months, it was tough, getting through it. For me too, like senior hockey definitely helped. At least you have some sort of competitiveness going on in your life, and you're on the ice as well. And through advising too, for me, it kind of fills that void a little bit, but it's not, like you said, it's not the same. But I think you come to terms with it eventually. For me anyways, it took a little bit of time, but I came to terms with it. And I think I'm hearing the same kind of thing for you too. It was tough, but eventually, you have good reasons and it makes sense to.
Yep, absolutely.
So kind of related to this, what's the biggest moment of adversity that you faced in your career? Was it moving on from hockey, or was it, earlier in your career? What would you say is like the toughest moment that you went through, and what did you do to kind of deal with it?
I'll say there's different segment. I would say the number one segment was early on my career, my pro career, my first 3 years. I only played 100 games. Mm-hmm. So it was very tough mentally. My first year, I got into a fight, got my dislocated shoulder, so had surgery. And then my other shoulder was pretty beat up from the junior days. So we did both in the same year. So I played 11 games. And then my season was over after that. So I came back my second year, had a strong year, a couple games in the coast, strong year in the minors in the AHL. I'm back in the coast, won a championship with the Idaho Steelhead. So it was beautiful. Spent a good summer training, really, putting everything to make the Dallas Stars. Showed up in camp, probably the best check of my life. And training camp, I tried to hit Chris Barch, and then Steve Ott kind of gave me a pick, and I extended my arm and dislocated my shoulder again. So that was kind of like the bottom of the bottom, because I was so on a high note, and to go back through the rehab, it was 6 months rehab to go back to where. So that was very tough. But you make what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, definitely. And the year after, I came back, and then through the next 7 years, it was overall pretty good. Got a couple injuries here and there, a couple concussions, but nothing too majorly that made me stop. So that's definitely was a rough start, because I was year 4. I was only 100 games in, so it was kind of like, okay, where am I going, right? Like, how is it going to be? I'm not able to negotiate contracts now. And year 5, I got a call up. So, it kind of got rewarded on that spend. I would say after that, the second adversity was I signed 3 contracts with Dallas Stars. So after I was traded to Nashville, there was Milwaukee's farm team. For the following 2 years after that, I didn't get any contract until October or November. So you're training for You don't know what from September, October. You go to training camp, you come back because you're only on a PTO. It's a professional tryout. So that was very tough for me and my family, not knowing where we started. And the kids had to start school in September, get a contract in Portland, Maine. Okay, moved everybody, go into a hotel, try out for a month. Okay, we'll sign you. Okay, try to find a house. Well, it's December. We're not going to find a house for 4 months. So we live in a hotel for a full year. So my wife was very good on that one. So it was 3 kids, young kids, so that was definitely the second part that was the most challenging, because not only it was just not me anymore, it was my family that was going through a lot. But kudos to them. We always stick to each other as long as we had us, and at least that was one of us. My wife was always with the kids, definitely. So that was probably the second part that was the toughest. After that, obviously, it's part of life. At one point, it's going to end up, and it ended up a little bit earlier than I thought it would be. But hey, I'm still playing now, still getting paid the semi-pro level, not the senior. Senior is for fun. I think I pay for play hockey when I go there. Yeah. But if I would extend that to 35, what's 5 years would have, really gave me into hockey? A lot, probably, because you meet so many people. But on the other hand, I was able to get in a head start in my coaching career, into my school, my hockey academy. So it worked out. In those tough moments, what do you think's the thing that really kept you going? Like that prevented you, your best shape of your life? Again, you dislocate your shoulder, you go through the rehab. What kept you going? What prevented you from just packing it in and giving up? I'm a hockey player. I wanted to become the best hockey player that I could be. I never look at myself and say, I'm a McDavid, I'm a Crosby. I knew what I was, and I'm like, I just wanted to play the game. And to be honest, making money playing hockey, that's been always wow, I have the best job in the world. So that's, I wanted to go back. No was not an answer. And then my wife was extremely supportive. I was not alone going through this. We were together, and we had kids together in that kind of span. So it made us stronger. And like I said, now, that adversity kind of builds up myself as a man and a dad, a husband. And after going through this, you can go through a lot. You'll be mentally okay. No, 100%. I think you touched on a few things that we always tell people. So number one, know why you want something, have that goal. And if your goal is strong enough, even if you go through that kind of adversity, you're still going to keep pushing forward. I think knowing the why is super important. And the second thing too, the support group is extremely important. I think it takes a village, not just one person to accomplish big goals like that. And, because you had such a good supportive wife and a good support system, it helped you, right, to get to where you want to go, even Absolutely. In darker moments. So I think, that's awesome for sure. So moving on to another question here. So kind of changing the tune a little bit. So in terms of a hockey player, what do you think in terms of skill? What's the biggest attribute you think they should focus on as young hockey players? Do you think it's skating, stick handling, shooting? What do you think in terms of pure skill on the ice is the one thing they should focus on? I'll definitely go outside the box on this one, but I think to compete. If you compete, you have a chance to be a better hockey player because you will outskate, you will outskill, you will outwork the opponent or your opponent. So for me, the number one thing I look for in a player, does he compete? How bad is he wants it? He can be the ugliest skater on earth, but if he goes from A to B faster than anybody else, I don't care how bad or how good you skate. So for me, number one thing I look for as a player, when I coach or when I evaluate the player is how bad does he want it? Does he compete? So and the skating, the skill, that's obviously something that you can work on. I think the second thing would be if I had to put 4 in a row, I'd say compete number 1, 2 hockey IQ. You can be fast, you can be skilled, but you have tunnel vision. You only see what's in front of you. You'll never be able to make it. So for me, it's hockey IQ and the compete level, the IQ. You have it or you don't. You can be better. You get pushed into a compete level, but you have it, and somebody can just trigger this. That can happen, but it's hockey IQ. Same thing. You have it or you don't. You can work on it. You can watch video. You can observe yourself. That's something you can always work on it, but mainly you have it or you don't. And then the skating. If I go back, I think Skating would be number 3. Skill would be number 4. Skating is just because it's a skating game. You skate fast, you skate fast, you play, right? Like that's like number 1. 2, 4, the skill that you can always work that at a young age. And I really believe the 10,000 hours to become an elite athlete at any level or any sport is really true. Every second that you spend outside shooting pucks, dribbling a ball, playing hoops with friends, you're involving skills into your game. You know, the more toolbox you have on your belt, you know, around you, the better you'll be. So for me, those are the 4 component I would describe a hockey player as far as what's most important.
Yeah, I would honestly agree with it. Compete is so important. You see, players that have a little bit more skill that get outcompeted by players that don't have as much skill, but they outwork them. And again, related to what we were talking about earlier, the guys that outwork them in the long run usually are the ones that win. You know, so I couldn't agree.
If you're able to have 3 of those, you're very lucky.
Yeah.
All 4, those are the elite, McDavid's, Crosby, all the NHL. Every NHL player or AHL player has those 4, you know, in a nutshell. But at a young age, if you're able to have 2 of those, you'll make it to the double letters, and you try to work on the 3rd one and accept to the 4th one if you're able to get to the junior level, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. So my last question for you is, so if a player that's a young player right now, you know, Pee-wee, Bantam, anything like that, what's the one thing they should kind of, you know, start working on and take away from this conversation?
Well, for me, anytime you spend hours working outside, shooting pucks and going through, obstacles, for me, you're involving to your own game. I think I realize with the kids right now, at a young age, playing outside is almost like something they don't want to do. They want to play video games. So for me, like if you're in shape and you're able to skate long and skate fast and have that stamina, you'll have a head start on everybody else on the ice. So your physical shape, how you eat, how you drink, your fluids and stuff like that, that really is going to bring you to another level. But anything that you create outside, by shooting pucks, playing hoops, dribbling a ball, going through obstacles, all those things will get you a better hockey player. You don't need to buy or get a power skating coach every day, every night for the rest of your youth career. Obviously, those tools are very good. I am a coach and I appreciate the business. I give you tools, but if you don't put it in tasks at home or on the ice with your team or during the summer, it becomes useless, right? So, but it's important to kind of grab a little bit of things, so a shooting coach, a skill coach, skating coach, nutrition, off-ice training coach, like strength and stuff like that. If you're able to get a little bit of information from everybody and then the kid really wants it and kind of grabs that together, you'll have a great recipe.
I think two things I got from that is that one, just consistently like doing something, trying to find something to improve every single day, consistently going out and doing stuff to help improve your game. And the second thing too, like finding good mentors in different areas. You can find good hockey coach, skills coach, nutritionist, trainer, all those kind of things, and try and get that 5 to 10% you were talking about a while ago, try and get a little bit from every single coach.
And then the one thing that I suggest the kids that I believe they don't do enough is watch hockey games, not highlights, hockey games. Because the highlights are the top, the cream of the cream. And, those guys worked multiple hours to do that.
Yeah.
The kids was like, I'm going to try that in practice. It's going to work. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Right. So in a game, you'll see, if you really observe the game, don't go into much detail about the system, but like, how does he protect the pucks? How is he shooting? McDavid is not shooting the same way as Matthews. The D-mans, they don't close the gap the same way. Everybody, so you try to watch game and say, okay, look at Brendan Gallagher. He's hungry in front of the net. Like those are say, hey, you know what? I don't have a ton of skill, but I can do that. So try to put yourself, say, hey, what player can I establish myself for? I'm going to look at what he does well, and then I'm going to try to mimic that. That's how, when I did my transition from D-man to forward, I didn't know what the heck I was doing as a forward. Trust me, I was good in my zone, but after that, to go north, red line, I was dumping it in, and I didn't know what to do. So I looked at Roberto Bissonnette, who was our captain. He passed away now. He was a singer, and he was a tough guy, and he was red line in, finishing check in front of the net, tipping pucks in, fought when he had to. But he was that style of player. But so try to see, okay, who am I as a player in the NHL? Because, they're the best. You want to be able to say, hey, he does that at a high level. I want to become like this. You have to, like you said, have a mentor. And you try to mimic like the exact same thing. If you're not a good skater and you like McDavid, say, hey, well, who's like, you look like a guy like Heinen in Edmonton, not the nicest skater, but he works his bag off every day. He's beautiful to watch, like protecting the puck, jamming pucks in. And, that's the type of player that I would suggest kids to watch, because those are the work ethic that really makes a difference. If he didn't have any work ethic, he would not be close to playing pro.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. I think also too, when I was younger, and I still do now, actually, when I play, I used to, watch like 3, 4, 5, whatever players that I really like, different parts about their game. I'd see what they were doing, how they were doing it, and then I'd kind of use them as a model to try and improve my skills, So I think that's a great piece of advice to kind of end on here for players to implement. So, well, I just want to thank you so much for your time, Francis. I know you're a busy guy now more than ever. So I think the viewers are really going to appreciate all the gold nuggets here that you gave. So thanks again. And absolutely. It was a pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure anytime. And thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Francis. He's always a pleasure to talk to. If you guys have any questions at all regarding, for me or for Francis, feel free to drop a comment down below, or you can even send us an email at info@ahadvising.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Even if it's an email to Francis, we'll let him know, we'll ask the question, and then we'll get back to you. If you like this video, feel free to smash that like button if you haven't already. And if you're new to this channel and you got any sort of value out of this video, consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss another video moving forward. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on that next one.